Welcome to Messages from the Universe with Laurie Wondra. Laurie is an internationally renowned psychic medium, author, and shamanic practitioner, sharing insights from angels, guides, wisdom keepers, and teachers of the universe that help you navigate life's mysteries and transformations.
What's up with the energies of August of 2026? Welcome everyone to Messages from the Universe. I'm Laurie Wondra, and I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend this time with me. Whether you are joining us for the first time or you've been walking this journey with our community for years, thank you for being here. Every month brings its own energy signature, but August feels really different this year. It carries a sense of anticipation, movement, and possibility, and there is this unmistakable feeling that something is shifting, not necessarily around us first, but within us. We begin to recognize that the choices we've been making, the lessons we've been learning, and the healing we've been embracing are beginning to take shape in our everyday lives. If July was a month of reflection, recalibration, and asking ourselves what truly matters, then August becomes the month where we begin living those answers. Rather than standing at the edge of change, August encourages us to take the first courageous steps forward. It's packed full of action. I'd like to first remind you that astrology, numerology, and spiritual teachings are not meant to predict your future or determine your destiny. They are tools for awareness. They offer opportunities to understand the larger cycles unfolding within us and around us. They can illuminate possibilities, but your choices, your consciousness, and your willingness to grow remain the greatest influence in your life. The planets may describe the weather, the numbers may reveal the rhythm, the eclipses may open doorways, but really, you decide whether you're going to walk through. So throughout August, we experience several powerful energetic influences. Why, we have the Lion's Gateway, August 8th through 12th, and that invites us to reconnect with our heart and our higher purpose. We have a solar eclipse that opens the door to new beginnings and fresh possibilities. And later in the month, we have a lunar eclipse that encourages us to release what has fulfilled its purpose, making room for a new chapter to unfold. And alongside of these events, the continued influence of Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune and Pluto and the other planetary movements all ask us to balance vision with responsibility, courage with wisdom, and inspiration with meaningful actions. So rather than seeing these events as isolated moments, I'll invite you to sit back and listen and think of August as one continuous journey. It begins with awakening, it moves into choosing, and it concludes with becoming. And each experience builds upon the one before it, reminding us that transformation is rarely one dramatic event. More often, it's a series of intentional decisions that gradually reshape the direction of our lives. Now, the numerology of August. From a numerology perspective, August carries the vibration of the number 8. But in a collective universal year of number 1 for 2026, that combination becomes especially meaningful. The number 8 has long been associated with abundance, achievement, leadership, personal authority, balance, resilience, and the universal law of cause and effect. It's often symbolized by the infinity sign turned upright, reminding us that energy is always flowing, always returning, and always responding to the intentions we place in the world. Many, many years ago, I was taught the mechanism to use the infinity symbol reaching out to the universe and the 8 coming back to bring that energy to you. It's a continuous cycle. And many people hear the word abundance and immediately think of money While financial prosperity can certainly be part of the number 8 vibration, true abundance is much broader. It includes health, meaningful relationships, peace of mind, creativity, purpose, joy, generosity, and the confidence to live authentically. August asks us a simple yet very profound question. What does a truly abundant life mean to you? Is it having more, or is it becoming more of who you already are? The 8 energy encourages us to become conscious creators rather than unconscious reactors. It reminds us that our lives are shaped not only by circumstances, but by our responses to those circumstances. Every decision, every thought, every act of kindness, every boundary we establish, and every opportunity we embrace contributes to the future we are creating. So this month, also, there's a light that shines on personal responsibility. Responsibility isn't about blame or carrying unnecessary burdens. Instead, it's about recognizing the incredible power we have to influence our lives through conscious choice. The more we live in alignment with our deepest values, the more naturally opportunities begin to appear. The number 8 also has a karmic quality. Karma is often misunderstood as punishment or reward, but I see it more as the natural process of learning. Life continually offers us opportunities to grow in wisdom, compassion, integrity, and authenticity. And sometimes those lessons arrive through joy, but other times they arrive through challenge. In either way, each experience invites us to evolve. As we move through August, you may notice situations repeating themselves, not because you're being tested, but because you are being offered another opportunity to respond differently. Relationships may ask for clearer communication. Career decisions may require greater authenticity, and old fears may surface one final time, not to hold you back, but to show you how much stronger you've become, showing you have a choice to let go and move forward. The beautiful gift of the number 8 vibration is that it supports aligned manifestation. So rather than chasing success or forcing outcomes, August comes along and reminds us that what we consistently think, believe, and embody naturally begins to take form. Manifestation isn't about wishing harder. It's about becoming energetically aligned with the life you are ready to create. And as we move through this episode today about what's up with the energies of August, I invite you to listen with both curiosity and openness. Notice what resonates. Pay attention to the ideas that maybe stir something within you. Those moments are often your intuition gently confirming or nudging you about what your soul already knows. August is not asking you to become someone different. It's asking you to fully step into the person you have been becoming all along. I'm going to walk us through the major planetary events of August, and then I will cover each of the zodiac signs and see what the impact might be for each sign. You might want to listen to both your sun sign and rising sign, and some people also like to listen to their moon sign. So let's talk about why one of the reasons August feels so dynamic is that it isn't just one event shaping this month. It's the convergence of several powerful energetic influences. Think of them as waves moving through the ocean. Each has its own rhythm, its own purpose, yet together they create a much larger current, inviting us toward growth and transformation. So rather than experiencing these energies separately, you may notice that one naturally builds upon another, like repeat waves. The month begins by opening your awareness, moves into creating new possibilities, and then the big wave concludes by helping you release what no longer belongs in this next chapter of your life. The first major energetic highlight in August is the Lionsgate portal, active approximately from August 8th through August 12th, with its strongest activation occurring on August 8th. 8-8. Spiritually, the Lionsgate has become associated with expanded consciousness, courage, heart-centered leadership, creativity, and the awakening process. It is most connected with the symbolic alignment of the sun being in Leo and the rising and close proximity of Sirius, a star that has long been honored in many ancient traditions as representing wisdom, illumination, and higher awareness. And whether you view this alignment as a literal energetic gateway or it's as a more meaningful symbolic invitation to a personal gateway, it's a message that still remains remarkably consistent. Open your heart. Remember who you are. Lead from authenticity rather than fear. Now, Leo reminds us that each of us carries a unique light that was never intended to remain hidden. And during this gateway, you may feel inspired to share your light. It means sharing your gifts more openly, maybe beginning a creative project, speaking your truth, or maybe it's finally taking action on something you've been postponing. At the same time, remember that courage doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes courage is simply having an honest conversation, setting a healthy boundary, forgiving yourself, or even allowing yourself to dream again after some previous disappointment. This portal is less about receiving something from outside of yourself. It's more about remembering what has always existed within. And just as the Lionsgate energy reaches its integration, we encounter one of August's most significant celestial events, and that's the solar eclipse on August 12th. The solar eclipse in Leo. Solar eclipses often symbolize beginnings. They illuminate possibilities we may not have considered or encourage us to move toward a future that's better, that reflects who we are becoming. And unlike the gradual transitions we sometimes experience, eclipses can feel like accelerated periods of awareness, a surge of energy. We suddenly recognize what has become too small for us, what no longer reflects our values, or what new opportunities are waiting to be embraced. And sometimes that awareness arrives very gently, and sometimes it surprises us. Either way, eclipses have a remarkable way of revealing truth. Rather than fearing eclipse energy, I encourage you to approach it with curiosity and ask yourself, what wants to begin in my life? Where am I being invited to grow? What decisions have I been postponing that my heart already knows? This eclipse encourages intentional beginnings. It's less about rushing forward and more about choosing consciously. Not every opportunity requires immediate action, but every meaningful opportunity deserves some honest reflection. Now, Mercury, that's about integrating what we've learned. And Mercury's been retrograde, but that ends on August 11th. And Mercury retrograde invited reviews and revisions and reflections. The August energy offers an opportunity to integrate those lessons. So Mercury now encourages forward movement, but with greater wisdom than before, because you've spent time in reviewing and revisioning and reflecting. Perhaps you've changed your perspective. Perhaps you've improved communication within an important relationship. Perhaps you've revised and now feel more aligned. Well, Mercury reminds us that clarity is one of our greatest spiritual tools. This month favors meaningful conversations, thoughtful planning, learning, teaching, writing, and making decisions that are grounded in both intuition and practical thinking. You may notice that conversations you've avoided are suddenly easier. Solutions begin appearing where there was once confusion, and ideas that felt unfinished during July now gain momentum. Sometimes progress doesn't come because circumstances change. Sometimes progress comes because we change. Let's talk about Venus. Venus is all about relationships and what we truly value. On August 12th to the 25th, Venus is in Cancer, conjunct Jupiter, and that brings themes of abundance, nurturing, and emotional connection. And then August 25th onward, Venus moves into Leo, the sign of self-expression, creativity, and personal power. So overall, the month, Venus brings our attention to relationships, beauty, creativity, finances, and personal values. August asks us to examine not only who we love, but how we love. Are our relationships built upon authenticity? Do we give ourselves permission to receive love as freely as we offer it out? Do our daily choices reflect what we genuinely value? Now, Venus gently reminds us that abundance is closely connected to appreciation. Gratitude opens our awareness to what already exists while helping us recognize opportunities that may have gone unnoticed. This is also a beautiful month for artistic expressions, reconnecting with loved ones, beautifying your environment, and creating greater harmony in everyday life. And we can't talk about Venus without talking about Mars, because Mars inspires action. And while Venus softens our hearts, Mars really motivates us to move. So August 2026 is a month of Leo energy at the start, encouraging confidence, creativity. But then as we move into Virgo season later in the month, this energy focuses on organization and practical matters. Mars moving into Cancer on August 11th adds a layer of emotional grounding and home-centered motivation to the month's themes that include the spotlights on our home, emotional security, nurturing, and our protective instincts. What about Jupiter? Jupiter is also sitting in Leo. This is about expanding our heart. Are you hearing the theme for this month? This is part of Jupiter's 12-month transit of Leo, which began on June 30th of 2026, and it will continue until July 12th of 2027, a year from now. One of the most uplifting influences this month is Jupiter's journey through Leo. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, but in Leo, it magnifies creativity, generosity, optimism, confidence, leadership, and authentic self-expression. This is wonderful energy for sharing your gifts with the world, teaching, creating, writing, speaking, leading, encouraging others. However, Jupiter also reminds us that expansion begins internally. Before we can confidently share our life outward, we must first believe it deserves to be seen. That's internal work. Notice where you've been minimizing yourself. Notice where fear has convinced you to stay small, because August invites you to replace that self-doubt with quiet confidence, not ego, but genuine trust in the gifts your soul came here to express. And let's talk about Saturn, because Saturn is about commitment and maturity. Saturn remains in Aries. Saturn's Aries period began on February 17th of 2026, and it will last until February 17th of 2029. It's got a long run there, making it one of the most enduring planetary cycles in astrology. Every expansive influence benefits from a stabilizing one, and Saturn provides that to us. Saturn asks us to build lives that can support the dreams we're creating. This energy is important for us right now. It reminds us that lasting success requires patience, discipline, integrity, consistency. And rather than viewing Saturn as its restrictive energy, consider it as this wise teacher asking you, what foundation are you building? what commitments truly matter to you, and what habits support the future you're trying to create. It wants to help you build a great foundation so you can have the future you want. Saturn encourages emotional maturity, healthy boundaries, and taking responsibility for the life you are shaping. Dream boldly, but then build wisely. And Neptune. Well, Neptune's about trusting your soul. In August of 2026, Neptune will be retrograde in Aries throughout the entire month, continuing a cycle that began in July. Neptune continues to invite spiritual awakening, compassion, intuition, imagination, and connection with something greater than ourselves. During August, your intuitive senses will feel heightened. Pay attention to dreams, notice recurring symbols, observe meaningful coincidences, and listen to your inner knowing. Neptune reminds us that not every answer arrives through logic alone. Sometimes wisdom arrives through stillness and meditation and creativity. Sometimes it arrives through music or being in nature, or even quiet moments when the mind finally becomes calm enough to hear the voice of the soul. And at the same time, Neptune asks us to remain discerning. Spiritual insight is most powerful when it's balanced with grounded action and practical wisdom. And then Pluto. Well, this is transformation, death, and rebirth. Pluto continues its long-term work of transformation, encouraging us to examine the deeper patterns that influence our lives. In August, Pluto will be retrograde in Aquarius for the entire month. Now, this retrograde period began on May 6th of 2026, and it continues until October of 2026. And then Pluto will move direct again. So during this time of retrograde, Pluto's influence in Aquarius will focus on collective transformation, collective innovation, and the restructuring of systems. Aquarius's themes of technology, community, and progressive change will be amplified by Pluto's deep, regenerative, death and rebirth energy. Pluto rarely asks for superficial change. Instead, it invites profound, inner, deep evolution. Old identities, limiting beliefs, control, fear, power struggles. These are the areas Pluto often will illuminate. And while this process can sometimes feel uncomfortable, Pluto's purpose is never destruction for its own sake. Its purpose is it clears away those things that need to be cleared away, those things that were maybe too small, something that didn't fit into where we are now. Because transformation begins the moment we become willing to see ourselves honestly. So sometimes the energy needs to move away so we can see what's happening. And then we have this lunar eclipse on August 28th. This concludes the month of August, and this brings themes of completion, release, reflection, and integration. And interestingly enough, this lunar eclipse is in Aquarius on August 28th. It also completes the eclipse season that began with the February 2026 solar eclipse. Where the solar eclipse opened the door, the lunar eclipse helps us close one with gratitude. And this is a wonderful time to acknowledge your growth over the past year. Celebrate what you've learned, honor what you've become, release what no longer aligns with the person that you are becoming. Sometimes letting go isn't about loss, it's about creating space. Space for peace, space for joy, space for healthier relationships, space for new opportunities, and lastly, space for your soul to breathe and to continue expanding. So as August comes to a close, you may realize that the greatest transformation wasn't something dramatic that happened around you. It was that quieter shift that occurred within you. The moment you trusted yourself a little more, loved yourself a little deeper, or chose your authentic path over the expectations of others. This is the true gift of August. It reminds us that every celestial event is an invitation, but most powerful transformation always begins with the conscious choices we make here on Earth. Okay, are you ready to go through the zodiacs for August? As always, these messages are offered as opportunities for reflection rather than prediction. You are so much more than your sun sign and your moon sign and your rising and other placements. But listen with an open heart. Take what speaks to you and allow your own intuition to be your guide for what direction or for what purpose you want this information. So let's begin with Aries, because August invites you to step into a new level of confidence and leadership. The Lion's Gate and Jupiter's influence encourages you to embrace your creativity, take initiative, and trust the ideas that have been quietly growing within you. The solar eclipse may open doors in areas connected with self-expression, passion projects, or relationships with children and family, while the lunar eclipse reminds you to release habits that leave you exhausted or distracted from your purpose. This month is about leading from your heart rather than from your ego. The more authentic you become, the more naturally opportunities begin to appear. Remember that courage is one of your greatest gifts, but wisdom determines where you choose to use it. And Taurus, this month encourages you to strengthen your foundation before reaching for whatever comes next. Much of August's energy centers around home, family, emotional security, and creating environments that truly nourish your spirit. You may find yourself simplifying your life, reorganizing your priorities, or letting go of responsibilities that no longer belong to you. Financial opportunities may emerge through thoughtful planning rather than sudden change. And the eclipses remind you that lasting abundance grows from stability, patience, and integrity. Trust the pace of your journey. You don't need to force your future. Continue building it one intentional step at a time. And Gemini, your greatest gift this month is communications. Conversations, writing, learning, teaching, and sharing ideas become especially powerful as Mercury's influence helps clarify what you've been discovering over recent weeks. You may finally find the words to express something your heart has long wanted to say. Stay curious, ask thoughtful questions, and remain open to perspectives different from your own. The solar eclipse may inspire a new educational path, maybe a business opportunity or a creative endeavor, while the lunar eclipse encourages healing within your emotional foundation. Every meaningful conversation has the potential to change not only your life, but someone else's as well. And Cancer, August reminds you that your worth is not measured by what you own, what you accomplish, or what you provide for others. Instead, your value comes from the unique presence you bring into the world. Financial matters may require some thoughtful decisions, but this is also a beautiful month to recognize the abundance that's already surrounding you. Relationships become healthier when you honor your own needs alongside those of the people you love. The eclipses invite you to redefine prosperity, not simply through material success, but through peace, purpose, health, and emotional fulfillment. Trust that caring for yourself creates greater capacity to care for others. And Leo, well, this is your season. And with Jupiter traveling through your sign alongside the Lion's Gate portal, August brings extraordinary opportunities for personal growth and authentic self-expression. You may feel called to begin something significant, step into greater visibility, or finally embrace gifts you've previously kept hidden. The solar eclipse encourages new beginnings connected to identity and purpose, while the lunar eclipse helps release limiting beliefs about your own value. Allow yourself to shine without apology, not for recognition, but because sharing your light naturally inspires others to remember theirs. Your confidence becomes contagious when it's rooted in humility and compassion. And Virgo, August offers a quieter kind of transformation. While others may be focused on external achievements, your soul invites you to go inward. This is an ideal month for healing, reflection, spiritual practices, and releasing emotional burdens you've carried far too long. Pay close attention to your dreams, your intuition, and the subtle guidance arriving through synchronicities. The solar eclipse may begin preparing you for an important new chapter that becomes more visible in the coming months, while the lunar eclipse helps you let go of old expectations you've placed upon yourself. Give yourself permission to rest. Clarity often arrives after stillness. In Libra, your relationships continue to evolve in beautiful ways through August. Friendships, communities, collaborations, and shared visions become increasingly important. You may discover new groups that support your growth or reconnect with people who inspire your highest potential. The eclipses encourage you to examine where you're giving away your power simply to maintain harmony. And remember that true peace is built upon honesty, not avoidance. Your natural diplomacy remains one of your greatest strengths, but this month asks you to pair kindness with healthy boundaries. Balance begins within before it can be reflected in your outer world. And Scorpio, August encourages you to step into greater purpose and visibility. Career opportunities, leadership roles, or important life decisions may emerge as you recognize just how much you've grown over the past several years. Pluto continues asking you to transform from the inside out, while the eclipses invite you to release outdated definitions of success. You no longer need to prove your worth through constant effort. Instead, allow your wisdom, resilience, and authenticity to become your greatest qualifications. This is a month for trusting your instincts while remaining open to unexpected possibilities. Sometimes your next chapter begins where your greatest fear once lived. And Sagittarius, adventure takes many forms, and this month your greatest journey may be one of expanded awareness. August encourages exploration through learning and travel, spirituality, teaching, publishing, or simply viewing life from a broader perspective. Jupiter inspires optimism and reminds you that hope is a powerful creative force. The solar eclipse may introduce opportunities connected to education or sharing your knowledge, while the lunar eclipse encourages balance between personal ambitions and emotional well-being. Continue asking meaningful questions. The answers you are seeking are likely to arrive through experiences that broaden both your heart and your understanding of the world. And Capricorn, transformation continues, but this month it feels less like rebuilding and more like refining. You are learning to release control where it is no longer serving you and replace it with trust, discernment, and deeper emotional connection. Financial partnerships, shared resources, or long-term commitments may require thoughtful review. The eclipses support healing around trust, vulnerability, and allowing others to genuinely support you. Remember that strength is not measured by how much you carry alone. True strength includes knowing when to receive help, wisdom, and love from those who genuinely care about your well-being. And Aquarius, relationships remain one of your greatest teachers this month. Whether in partnerships, friendships, family, or professional connections, August asks you to consider how mutual growth can become the foundation of lasting relationships. The solar eclipse may initiate important new beginnings within partnerships, while the lunar eclipse encourages releasing fears surrounding intimacy, trust, or shared responsibilities. Continue honoring your independence while recognizing that meaningful collaboration often expands what is possible. Your innovative ideas have tremendous value, especially when shared with people who appreciate your vision and encourage your authenticity. And Pisces, well, August gently reminds you that spiritual growth and practical living are not separate paths. They are one journey. Daily routines, health, work, and acts of service become powerful opportunities for living your spiritual values. The solar eclipse may inspire healthier habits or new ways of supporting your physical and emotional well-being, while the lunar eclipse shines a light on relationships that either nourish or drain your energy. Neptune heightens your intuition throughout this month, making meditation, creativity, and time in nature especially restorative. Remember that even small acts of kindness create ripples that extend far beyond what you may ever see. So no matter your zodiac sign, August invites each of us to embrace the same universal truth. Transformation begins with awareness. It grows through intentional choices. It flourishes when we trust the wisdom of our own soul. Some of us are beginning new chapters. Some of us are completing old ones. Some are discovering dreams that have patiently waited for the right season. And many of you are simply learning to trust yourselves a little more than you did yesterday. So whatever your journey looks like, know that you are exactly where you need to be. The universe is continually offering signs and opportunities and moments of inspiration, not to direct every single step, but to remind you that you are never walking this path alone. Take what resonates, leave behind what doesn't, and carry forward only the wisdom that supports your highest good. So may August be a month filled with courage and clarity and compassion and joyful transformation for each and every one of you. I'm Laurie Wondra of Your Life Core, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Messages from the Universe. For information about Laurie Wondra's current events or to schedule a private session, visit her website, yourlifecore.com. You can also subscribe to her monthly newsletter. Laurie also shares inspirational and informational messages on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening.